Hey, Gregory. Whoop. Oh, good. Okay. Here, I'm going to just do a check. Oh, this is going to be too low. Losing precious between. Did I plug into the right one? Yeah. Well, maybe we could. Pickup? I have a pickup. Here we go. No, I still don't hear.
Can you mute the VR? Yeah, on the board. Can you mute that? Thank you. Turn it off, right? Yeah. Can you take that out, please? Okay.
Try it.
No, can you take it out?
Take it
I'm
out.
gonna try to bring the amp over instead.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're set up. I'm going to candles. I'll use that little.
No, I'm going to light the candles. I'll light everything. You just say the words.
No, I mean, I'm talking about that. I'm gonna light a Hanukkah.
Pardon?
I'm gonna light a Hanukkah candle.
Oh, okay. Just a sec. Let me put this up here.
I'm gonna use that little. Until I just light it.
Okay. That's fine. You just do what you need to.
So I don't have to be striking a match at the last minute.
Okay. Okay.
Does anyone have to cross over here today?
I don't know.
Bring this down.
It's crazy. It's a little chaotic today. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start?
It's 5 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, it's, wow, yeah, definitely. Oh, wait, we need to tell the ushers to bring up for the embracing meditation. Bring up Hi. It's a good day to hear.
I miss seeing you at Swing Shift.
I know I miss it. Are you well? Okay. And then, are you going to bring up the iPad? Yeah, so bring it up before the embracing meditation. Find out if it's. Do you know if the iPad has been charged and I need someone to find the chat room? Maybe they don't. Okay. I know. Well, hopefully, just check with them.
Okay.
They may not know how to do it. So if not, we'll skip it. Here's this, and they may or may not have that chat. So if you don't have the iPad, don't mention the chat room. What's that? I don't know how you say it. Welcome to the chaos of the day after our holiday concert last night, which was absolutely fantastic. It was beautiful. Yeah. So really, the air is still filled with the music. The walls are warm and happy with all that music. And meanwhile, it's kind of chaotic. So please excuse that. We're starting a little bit late. I actually have a long message of hope for you today. But first, let me say welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. A warm welcome to all of you who are here in person, and we do have some people joining us on Zoom. So why don't you turn around, face the bright lights, and say hello. We know that you are with us and grateful to have you here. So my name is Laurel Leifert. I serve as the minister of this generous, caring, welcoming community of seekers. And as Unitarian Universalists, we have love at the center of our faith. We are a come-as-you-are congregation, and here we celebrate differences. And some of you may notice something different about me if you've seen me before, because last week I got a dramatically different haircut. So that is a difference. And here's the thing, is that our covenant encourages us to have direct communication with people rather than gossip. But I think I'm a little bit of a public figure in this congregation, so you may have differences of opinion about whether you like my haircut or not. And I would say that that could be holy gossip. You don't have to directly tell me what you think of my haircut. You can just talk amongst yourselves. Thank you, Malcolm. Well, together we are building the world that we dream of. And so let us be kind to one another and enjoy the service today, which is all about messages of hope. We do spend a few minutes each Sunday acknowledging the land that we are on. So people all over the world are still working to claim their sacred land. And we here in Oakland are on the land of the Ohlone people, who have been here for millennia and are still here, as are the spirits of their ancestors. So even though we're not the first ones to settle on this Ohlone land, we do still benefit from what I would call a broken covenant. And so let us have the courage and the humility to do all we can to heal that broken covenant. And one of the ways is by contributing a Shumi tax to the Segorite Land Trust. Their mission is to rematriate or to claim back, buy back some of their sacred land. So you can see up on the slide how you can contact the Segorite Land Trust, and I encourage you to find out more about the Confederated Villages of the Lishan Ohlone people. So again, welcome.
The chalice, and I invite you to say the chalice lighting words with me and to do the hand signs. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. Okay. I recently learned that some highly respected Unitarian Universalists have publicly stated that they no longer believe in the first principle of Unitarian Universalism. You know, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. How could this be? Well, these UUs are devastated because of the rising number of cruel and destructive leaders around the world, leaders who are supported by millions of people. But I was still shocked that any UUs could abandon our first principle. It's my personal first principle. I think that principle is our strongest defense against the trend toward cruelty and destructiveness, which is worldwide. I believe the way to defeat that trend, to reverse the trend, is exactly by treating every human being in a way that acknowledges their worth and dignity, including the brutally destructive ones. And of course, we must work at the same time to stop their destructiveness. Our covenant to apply the first principle to everyone is the foundation of our hope, my personal hope for the future. So please join us today in deepening that hope. In one voice, let us say, "Come, let us worship together." Okay, now we're going to light the candles. We light the peace candle and the Black Lives Matter candle with these words from Nelson Mandela. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then your enemy becomes your partner. Together we say, peace is possible and Black lives matter. And today we're going to light our new candle, the earth candle. Now, we will light the earth candle with these words from David Brower, very famous conservationist. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. And together we say, the earth is our home. And now let us sing.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing Come, Come, Whoever You Are, based on a poem by Rumi. We'll sing it through 3 times. Come, yet again come. Go ahead and have a seat.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Hanukkah now. Hope, that's what Hanukkah is all about in the modern world. This was an ancient celebration. It starts today at sundown, and it lasts for 8 days. The first thing that leaps to my mind when I think of Hanukkah is the menorah. We got 3 of them up there. The image of the menorah, the candelabra with 8 branches, is very ancient. From time immemorial, it burned in the huge ancient temple in Jerusalem as a symbol of Jewish devotion to God. That was the temple with a capital T. Now, only certified pure oil could be used as the fuel for the menorah flames. In the 2nd century BCE, before the Common Era, there came a time in the midst of a conflict with an oppressive king when there was only enough pure oil to keep the menorah lit for 1 day. And it was very important to keep it there, the eternal light, all the time. Yet, somehow, the flames stayed alive for 8 days, thanks to a miracle from God. And that's the origin of Hanukkah. Now, leap forward a couple of centuries to the year 70 CE, the Common Era. Forget about Anno Domini. When there was a big change in the holiday. The temple in Jerusalem, where the sacred menorah sat, was destroyed, completely destroyed, still not been rebuilt. And it couldn't be rebuilt because the Jews had just survived a massacre and they scattered far and wide. So the temple no longer existed, but the Jews didn't lose hope. They made a lot of small menorahs and lit them all over the Middle East and Europe and even Africa and Asia. Eventually, these diaspora Jews changed Hanukkah. It no longer centered around one giant menorah in the temple. It came to be celebrated in millions of Jewish homes and synagogues. And that's still going on. almost 2,000 years later. So when I was a child, my Jewish family was very secular, but we always celebrated Hanukkah in our home. We wouldn't go near the synagogue. In cold December, the holiday had many elements of comfort and home. It was always celebrated after sundown when it was dark out. So what could symbolize hope better than lighting candles in the dark? My little brother Danny and I, some of you know Danny, we took turns lighting the candles. One candle in the center of the menorah, I'm going to get one of these menorahs now and show it. One candle in the center of the menorah was called the shamas. The shamas lit all the other candles. So here's the shamas. Actually, in this menorah, it's not in the center, but it's clearly in a special place. I knew I shouldn't have tried to do anything. So anyway, I'm gonna grab some flame from over here.
She's grabbing flame from over there.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna light one other candle because tonight's the first
Light
night.
one other candle. They can't hear you because you're not near the
Okay.
mic.
I'm going to light one other candle because tonight's the first night. And you light them from right to left, not left to right, because Hebrew goes from right to left. Go figure. Okay. So there it is, tonight's Hanukkah candle. So that's the first night. On the second night, you light 2 candles. You put another one in right next to it. On the third night, you light 3 candles, and so on, until finally, we got 8 blazing candles. And this is just a little tiny menorah. Most people have bigger, more impressive-looking menorahs. Now, according to this ritual, you never snuff out those candles. You let them be consumed. You let them burn down while you anticipate the next day when more candles will be lit. And there's a custom of putting the lighted menorah in a window facing the street all 8 nights so everyone can see it. So this holiday was about the whole community looking forward in strength and hope. But that wasn't all. This was a special holiday with special food. Latkes, crispy potato pancakes. Latkes are an inexpensive, nourishing, delicious food that even the poorest Jews could afford. They were a tradition that my family learned from our grandparents who'd grown up in poverty in Eastern Europe. Like the candles, the latkes represented hope for many Jews, hope for a time when our stocks of food would be replenished. And there was Hanukkah gelt. Gelt means money, but Hanukkah gelt wasn't really money. It was little chocolate discs wrapped in gold paper so they looked like gold coins. For us kids, gelt was clearly better than real money. And it was doled out over 8 nights so we could keep looking forward to it. After I grew up, I found out there was also a prayer to be recited every night, a prayer showing hope in God, but our atheist parents never mentioned that. Okay. But we did have music. We always sang that song that begins, O Hanukkah, O Hanukkah. You might have heard it. We thought that was the Hanukkah song, but I found out later on there are a lot of other Hanukkah songs. And now we will sing another Hanukkah song, Light One Candle.
Well, let's do that. If you want to rise in body or spirit, and for those of you who don't know it, it's in the gray hymnal number 221, Light One Candle. I don't know. Shine through our love and our tears as we greet one another. So you can go ahead and wander around for a few minutes. You could talk about haircuts, you could talk about messages of hope. But when I start playing guitar, come back. Hi. Hello. So when we do the announcement, so it says to email Rev Kev. is actually in this song. So let's sing it through a couple of times. It's going to be much lower than that last song. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. One more time. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Thank you.
Now is the time for our embracing meditation. Someone just came up and told me that 11 Jews were massacred last night while celebrating Hanukkah on a beach in Australia. So I'm overcome. And this is the time for our embracing meditation. We're a gathering of people who care about each other. So this is the time to share our joys and sorrows with the whole community. I just shared with you a great sorrow. But first, let me share with you some positive news, some wonderful news about how this congregation is sharing with struggling people all over the world. During and after our November 9th service, we raised nearly $2,500 for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. $2,500. So the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee is a highly effective human rights organization, and thanks to a triple match from the UU congregation of Shelter Rock, Long Island, and 2 anonymous donors, this means the UUSC will receive $10,000 from that one Sunday service. I just can't express how much joy that gives me. When the bell sounds, or the gong, let your voice ring out with whatever and whoever is in your heart. And if you're on Zoom, I invite you to write in the chat what you would like to share with the congregation. Okay. So from the Zoom people, we have Barbara Winslow. Barbara Winslow is in her final weeks. And then from our own book here that you can write in before the service, We ask for prayers for the health and well-being of Timon O'Connor. Okay. And now let us say together, we hold them in our care. Okay.
For our pastoral prayer, I offer you a prayer by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. So please join me. Spirit of life, eternal beloved mystery and grace, we come before that which is greater than ourselves in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments and inspires our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, for real, full, and overwhelmed lives. We give thanks for the blessings we have been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, and the unwavering faith that there will be better days. We give thanks and seek your grace. Spirit of love, come alongside with all the holy nudge that we need. So may we live in such a way that we celebrate all the blessings that we have been given, so that we may be the blessings in the world. Amen, and blessed be. My message of hope this morning is to lift up the power of love to heal what divides us. So it was one Saturday night last month when around 75 of us gathered in Venti Hall to watch a movie called Democracy Noir. The film followed three courageous women. There was a journalist, a politician, and a nurse in their fight to expose the lies and corruption of the government of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor. Oh dear. So amidst the brazen rise of 21st century authoritarianism, let's go ahead and use this mic. Orban is a hero to his country's Christian conservative population. He is a role model to the right-wing political movement in Europe, and he is a role model to our president. So Donald Trump and the Republicans here in the United States admire and follow in the footsteps of Orban. So as I watched the film, it reminded me of a story that I read a number of years ago in The Atlantic about a politician who was up against the corrupt government of the Turkish president, Erdogan. I heard about this article in The Atlantic from a colleague who told me that it was an inspiring, true story about the power of love. So here's how the article that was written by Melvin Ingleby, a journalist based in Istanbul, begins. Consider the following scenario. You are an opposition leader in a deeply divided nation. Against all odds, you narrowly win a local election against a ruling party that controls the public space and censors the media, and you have been elected to be the mayor of the largest city in Turkey, Istanbul. However, under government pressure, the authorities ruled that the vote was rigged. So that deposed him from office and triggered a new election. So what do? The ousted mayor was a politician named Ekram Imamoglu. So against all odds, he had narrowly won the election against a politician who was a longtime confidant and chosen candidate of the Turkish president Erdogan and his ruling party. So after recounting of the votes had failed to secure a victory for Erdogan's candidate, the ruling party claimed that polling station officials had altered the mayoral election results and they ordered a rerun. So meanwhile, all of the other races that these same officials had also supervised and tabulated were left intact. So doesn't this manipulation of election results sound eerily and disturbingly familiar? So what do now? Many feared and even expected that Imamoglu's supporters would respond with street protests or violence. But on the night that Imamoglu was deposed from office, listen to what he said to his supporters. He said, "They will want conflict from us. They will want to hear harsh words from us. But we, the people, who do not want this nation to fight, who want this nation to embrace, will insist upon embracing each other." So instead of keeping the polarization and hostility alive with confrontational approach, he told his supporters, "Find a neighbor who doesn't think like you and just give them a hug. Just give them a hug." So after having his election stolen instead of fighting, this rare and wise politician took to the streets of Istanbul. His strategy was one of inclusiveness, of respect, of uniting voters across opposing political camps. So he told his supporters, "We are showing that walls can be torn down with love. And not just love, with radical love." I want you to think about the UU principles and sources. Emily mentioned the first principle. Our first principle as Unitarian Universalists is to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And the second source that this living tradition draws from is what I see in the actions of the three women in Hungary in the film Democracy Noir, and in the actions of the politician Imamoglu in Turkey. So here's the second source. Words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Confront evil with the transforming power of love. So believe me, I know that these are not easy principles to live by. It's really hard to apply the first principle to every single person. So how can we see the worth and dignity of people who are intentionally dismantling our democracy, who are destroying the lives of people? And then how can we see the worth and dignity in their followers, who think and believe so differently from us, sometimes feeling like we have a wholly different reality? Would it really work just to hug them? So I want to explore this idea of radical love more deeply and to complexify it a little bit. So radical love asks us to do what Krista Tippett, who hosts the podcast On Being, invites us to do. She invites us to simply believe there is good in the other. Because if we believe this, it offers us a crack in the middle where we can find commonality. So maybe this is like in Leonard Cohen's song Anthem that I mentioned a few weeks ago. There's a crack in everything, and that's where the light gets in. Or it's like the concept of bridge people that Francis Kissling brought up in an interview with Krista Tippett. Bridge people are people who refuse to see their opposites as evil, who are able to find the crack in the middle of intense debates. Francis Kissling sees herself as a bridge person in her role as president of Catholics for Choice. She looks for cracks in the middle of the abortion debate, and she has found that real conversations can occur there. Radical love invites us into the crack, to be brave enough to step into that holy place and ask someone who thinks and believes so differently from us a simple question: what hurts? What hurts? Because asking what hurts creates common ground by appealing to the universal experience of pain and of vulnerability, which helps to build empathy, trust, and psychological safety in conversations. What hurts? Well, going back to the story of Imamoglu and that unjust election in Turkey, the truly remarkable thing is that his strategy of radical love worked. He won. He won so clearly that the opponents had to accept the results. So he did it by reaching out to the supporters of the government that pushed to depose him. He took to the streets, he visited mosques, he told his supporters to avoid attacking Erdogan or insulting his supporters. And instead, the activists were told to talk less and to listen. So when the rerun votes were tabulated, Imamoglu won by 54% compared to 45%. And in fact, it was the biggest victory since 1984 in Turkey. Imamoglu found his campaign strategy in a 50-page pamphlet called The Book of Radical Love by Atis Ilyas Basoy. Basoy suggested a different kind of fighting strategy. He said, "We saw that we cannot change Erdogan. We probably can't change Trump or Hedgepath or some of those others. So we fight by changing ourselves. If you want to defeat Erdogan, you need to ignore him and love those people who love him." So Basoy's strategy of radical love is based on empathy. He recognized that the dangerous decline of empathy in the 21st century has everything to do with social media. Communicating electronically through text, email, social media posts, and the constant use of cell phones has drastically impaired our attention spans and our ability to engage in face-to-face conversation. This creates a shallow society of restlessness, of loneliness, that's pervaded by feelings of anxiety and fear. And you know what? In the realm of politics, these feelings have political consequences. At least in part, the anxiety and fear explains the surge of populist polarization that we see around the world. Politicians then use strategies of distraction and disorientation to stir up division, to create and inflame this polarization. And then they present a strong leader as the answer to this hunger for security and stability. Basoy sought to understand how to interrupt this dance of polarization. So he was inspired by this book by Daniel Kahneman called Thinking Fast and Slow. Are any of you familiar with this book? So in the last 20 years, things have been done more rapidly than in the entire history of humanity. But at the same time, humans grow the same way. So the human baby is still the human baby in the same way. And our evolution as humans just simply can't catch up with the sociological evolution. Well, there are people who use social media in our rapidly changing world to create fear of people who are different, who create us and them. And so these fearful people submit their will to leaders who can, as Bassoy puts it, direct these feelings like an orchestra conductor. So to avoid being manipulated, we need to slow down and take the time to pause, to look deeply at ourselves and at others with compassion and respect. And we need to be aware of who is pulling the strings, who is conducting the orchestra. In an article about radical love in the Journal of Democracy, Bassoy explains the dynamic of polarization. When one side of a polarized situation responds to every move that the leader of the other side makes, they end up projecting their disdain for the leader's crude rhetoric or moral misconduct on his supporters as well. So this tends to foster derogatory and patronizing assumptions about the group of voters from the other side who are often lumped together and derided for their lack of enlightenment and education. I confess that I have felt a profound disdain for leaders, and I also have painted their supporters with the same disdainful brush. I, who am a minister in a faith that begins with the principle that affirms the worth and dignity of every person, I realize that I am guilty of having polarizing thoughts, and I have fallen into the trap of feeling arrogant. Radical love would have me pause, would have all of us pause, and instead of disdain, dare to ask what hurts, and then listen and tenderly move with respect into the crack. So I want to end with a simple story that is close to home. It's about a group of us UUs finding a crack in Concord. So a group of UUs have been holding a vigil every Tuesday in front of the building that houses the immigration court in Concord. So I've shared some photographs of this vigil in my weekly Minister's Musings, and I admit that we've had our ups and downs with the management, to put it lightly. So security guards have been directed to keep us away from the door where the immigrants enter into the court. The manager has even turned sprinklers on a couple of times when the wind was blowing in our direction. Once she called the police because people passing by were honking their horns, and she instructed the security guards to keep us from parking in the disabled spaces even when we have a placard. We've been wanting to extend our commitment to nonviolent resistance to initiate a conversation with the manager, but to be honest, we have been worried that we wouldn't be able to hold back our emotional response. But one day, the manager was outside and approached us. She actually said that God told her to. And she began by describing the strict boundaries of where we could be, where we could not be. She complained about other groups that were doing more aggressive protests at the court. We explained to her that we were simply there to support immigrants coming into a scary situation. And one of us even said that we were trying to act as Jesus acted by handing out snacks, by giving blessings. Well, the manager softened and revealed that she herself was an immigrant. She listened as one woman in our group, with tears in her eyes, told the story about her family's immigration. And the next week, when one of us approached her to ask if we could continue handing out snacks in the driveway, the manager agreed that it would be okay. So far, the owners of the building haven't followed our suggestion to stop renting to the federal government if they want to get rid of us. But we have changed our relationship with one woman who holds some power there and who now sees us in a different light. And that is not nothing. So healing the divide, one relationship at a time, seeking out the crack, what hurts, and then using the transforming power, the amazing transforming power of radical love. So that is my message of hope this morning. I say, may it be so.
You know, it's true that the best things in life are free. That's because they're given to us without charge by our families and communities. So this church offers us beautiful music, an amazing building, loving care when we need it, education, moving rituals, food and drink, and so much more. All free of charge to every person who enters these doors. Now, how is that possible? Well, we voluntarily donate the means to pay for all of this for the whole community. So please, give what you can so together we can offer the best things for free to each and every person. If this is your first time here, please just let the basket pass and accept our warm welcome. Half of this month's contributions are going to California Power and Light. So will the ushers please come forward?
Together, let's now bless our offering with the words on the screen. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves and these our offerings. Now I'd like to invite Jody and Malcolm up with an invitation to love our building.
Love our building.
We do love our building.
I love our building. We're going to do a very brief introduction. If you want to hear more information, come to the January 11th Sunday service where we will talk about all things having to do with what we're going to do to improve the building and how we're going to pay for it then. Our building needs a little bit of work. The inside is doing pretty well. This room's still beautiful. But if you look at the tower roof, you'll notice it's missing some shingles. We need to fix it. The gutters have gaps. They need to be fixed. We have some windows, a couple windows that are starting to rot and need to be replaced, some bad windowsills, some siding. It starts to add up. We also need to paint the entire outside of the building. The good news is most of the roofs are in good condition. So this will cost money. We're planning to start the construction in April, and we have a plan to pay for it.
Hi, so with my finance hat on, we've come up with a slightly complicated way to pay for the current project. It includes money that we had in reserve already, which is the majority of the money that this project will take. So that's very, very good news. We're going to finance the rest of it, but we have between now and when we need to take out a loan to donate a little, any extra you have, to help us make that loan as small as possible. We'll be spending more time on that in the January 11th service, but if your generosity extends to wanting to give a little something right now, on our website, under Giving, the Giving tab, there is a place that you can designate whatever you want to helping us finance the rest of our maintenance work. Thank you.
You know, I really view us as stewards of an amazing resource. This building was built in 1890, which is pretty old by Western standards. And so we are stewards of this gorgeous historic building. So let me now invite up Kate Leonard from the board to give you some announcements.
Thank you. So first I want to let you know that there's another way to make a donation to revitalizing our building. There's flyers on the table as you exit in the foyer that have a QR code. So it'll take you right to that page on our website to make a donation. Okay, announcements for today. Last night was our annual holiday concert and cookie reception. This is a major fundraiser event for the church. Thank you all to the talented musicians who shared their gifts. We especially thank the concert producers who've poured love into every detail of the planning, our music co-directors, Susan Kiter and Renee Winton. A recording of the concert will be made available on the church YouTube channel in the coming weeks. If you weren't here last night, go to that YouTube channel. It was amazing. Okay, second, after the service today, join us in Venti Hall for a special winter craft fair. It's an opportunity to pick up holiday gifts, support local artists of our wider community, and a small portion of the proceeds will be donated to the church. Later today from 3 p.m., there will be a holiday potluck for our BIPOC and multiracial families at a church member's house. RSVP Reverend Kevin for the address. Alexis, are you? Yes, you can also speak to Alexis. Thank you. Lots easier. We celebrate the winter solstice next Sunday, and special services are planned for December 24th. There will be an intergenerational holiday pageant at 5 p.m. and a candlelight meditation on peace at 8 p.m. Bring your loved ones. And finally, the Board of Trustees is holding the next public meeting tomorrow, Monday, online at 6:45 p.m. We will be finalizing the strategic goals the congregation voted on, as well as discussing the upcoming congregational meetings that require votes for our building projects. Please join us for the last meeting of 2025.
Thank you, Kate. So we have one more hymn. May nothing evil cross this door. Please rise in body or spirit. extinguish our chalice.
We extinguish this chalice and with hope in our hearts as we leave today and return next week filled with love.
And don't forget the craft fair. Whoops. So last night, I was the MC for our concert, and to fill some of the time while the stages were being set up, I did some very corny riddles, bad jokes. Somebody said that's a hard audience, but I think they were a little bit young for the people who were there. But I have a riddle for you. The question is, how is it that we can interrupt the dance of polarization? I kind of was talking about this for about 15 minutes just a little while ago. So what is the answer? Radical love, the transforming power of love. So let's take our transforming power of love into our coffee hour. And if you want to hug somebody, ask them first. But I think there is power in the magic of hugs. So let us love one another. And thank you for being here today. Bless.
And if there are any newcomers here, please come up in front and chat with me for about 10 minutes, kind of an orientation.